All right, I am streaming. Dun, dun, dun. 6210. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new stream of well, I was going to say Totally Tim Show, but it's really kind of not the Totally Tim Show. It's kind of the the Filemaker series. This is Filemaker series, episode 16. We're going to talk about autonomic triggers today. We're going to actually talk about a lot of things today, but autonomic triggers, autonomic triggers today. And what an autonomic trigger actually is it's a thing that you can create that will automatically happen at a certain time. Not necessarily like a loop trigger, because you can do a loop trigger that will just continuously loop and continuously update specific things, like your time or your date. So you can create like a clock loop, which will refresh your clock every 1 minute or every 30 seconds or every 1 second if you want to. But it's a loop, and this is different. What this is and I'll show you really quick what I did for one of those things. So in this particular sense, if we log in, what's my thingy's not working? Apparently I turned my numlock off. Where the heck is my nut? Oh, there it is. Okay, now it'll work. Okay, and if I clock in, what happens is, watch real close. Ta-da! All of a sudden, it tells you that I clocked in. Now, if Josh were to clock in, it automatically tells you that Josh clocked in. And now, if I were to clock out, now we talked about this on our last episode. We talked about having this feature, which is basically all we're doing is we're just adding a name and a time space so that we can know at a glance if we're out there, and we can say, oh, okay, yeah, Tim is here and Josh is here and, Sally or whatever the case is, we know who's here at a glance, right? So in this case, it also works the same if I clock out. So here I clocked in, there it will remove me, and here it will remove Josh as well. So how that works is there's actually a little trigger, and if you guys will notice, there's like a little light blue thing here, and it's lit up, but it doesn't really do much. And so here are the two windows that we were looking at, but they are not available in browse mode. So the one window that we created, this one, if we go into our data, it is called variable. So we set it as, this is a variable window, and then this one is the variable trigger window. And how these work is, let's go in and manage our database really quick so we kind of can figure out what they are. So as we go down here, the variable is a text, and the variable trigger is actually a calculation. And the calculation is a case calculation. Now, you don't have to do the same thing as I did, but I wanted to make sure that if the trigger were to, if you wanted the trigger to happen, you had to have variable. You had to have something in the variable box. So what I did was, in my calculation, I basically said, case, if it's not empty, and we're talking about the variable box. So if there's something in this variable field, then we want you to hit the enter key. Enter. That's all we want you to do, is just hit the enter. But if it is empty in the variable, just return a clear field. Pretty simple, right? So what that actually does is, by creating a return on this, it actually will activate a script trigger. So if we close this out and we look at the triggers, my trigger is on object enter. On object enter. So what happens is, as you saw in that script, you press the enter button so that you have the enter key, and that's what causes it to actually go. And if we look at, actually I should have, I don't know why I just did that. Let's go ahead and look at this this script really quick. And it's pretty simple. It's super, super, super straightforward. If you you have to carry a variable from, like in this case, it is the name. It is a name of someone. So whether it's Josh or me or Andrew or whoever it is, it's going to carry a name. Now, from one script to another script, you can't carry a variable unless it's a global variable, so that it will work between different scripts. So this one, what we did was, when we get to at the end of the other one, at the end of the old script, we set our variable box, bing, and we set that field. So here we're going to set that field as a variable. So we're just basically transferring the data that we wanted into this deal, and then we're going to set that variable box as blank, and then we're just going to go through a bunch of if statements. So if name1 is equal to, so this is how it's turning it off. So it's saying if our variable name, if let's just call it Tim so that it's easier for you guys to understand. But so if Tim is equal to, if the first box says Tim, then we want you to set the field blank and blank. If the second box is equal to Tim, blank and blank, third box blank and blank, fourth box blank and blank. But below that we say if it is empty, if these fields are empty, then we want you to put Tim in there. So it's basically just a reversal of the two. But the cool thing about autonomic script triggers is they're pretty simple. This is a pretty basic one, and all it does basically is either populates or depopulates a field that we want it to do.
I can get frustrated.
And in this case, what we did was, we have 4 different variables, so because we have 4 different people that might be here on any given day. So we added these boxes. Let me just go through these really quick and get them out of the way. So we added 4 different boxes. Well, there's actually 8 of them. I know, I see that. Yeah, there's 8 of them. But there's name1, box 1, name 2, box 2. They're all texts. That's all they are, is just text boxes. And I put them all together. So if name1 becomes populated, then box 1 will set the current time. So it's very, very simple how that works. This particular box says it's a currency, but it's not a currency. It's just general, so I don't really get what that was about. But anyway, it's not available in browse mode, and definitely make sure that they are not available in browse mode. We have to make absolutely positive that they are not available in browse mode. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work a little bit on our employee list, which is the same as our contacts list, right? So what you need to do for your contacts, like if you have contacts or you have an employee list, and let me just show you really quick how it works. So if you go to your employee list, it basically gives you a set of employees, and just a list. And then you have a create new and a back button. So in this sense, what we did was we made the little boxes. And if you look at this, it's basically you have an ID number, the last name, the first name, an active set, and a file number. So that I wanted the active set so that you could, if you wanted to, you could sort these by active set. So if an employee was active, or an employee was like past, you had fired the employee or you gotten rid of them, and you just wanted the old records, old record, new record, whatever. You would have access to all of that. And then, of course, there's a verify man and a verify admin on the bottom here. So that if you do go into this, you can click this, and it automatically will take you into a different, onto a different layout. And we all know the script for that it's pretty simple. It's basically just says, hey, go to this layout, enter find mode, put this number in there, and perform the find. So now we have it. Now, in this particular case, what I did was I created, if you go into edit layout, and you go into these little tab thingies up here, you can create, like this one, was a slide control or a tab control. So we just added the tab control in there. You just build a box and you can set how many of them that you want, what they are, which is pretty neat. I just put it in there because I wanted to. The full name is actually a calculation box. It's a field that's a calculation. That is, as you've seen in the past videos, we did the first name and then a space and then the second name. So we use that so that if you were to make a change to this, you were to say, oh, his name's not John, his name is Tommy, and you click off of it, it will automatically change that to Tommy Smith and not John Smith. As you get farther into this, you can create these fields independently as an administrator. You can create the fields independently so that they're not available in browse mode, or so that people can't access the information. I mean, they can see it, but they can't mess with it. They can't make changes to that information. We also added a little ID box here, and what the ID box does is it's part of our script for our. If we go into done, it will take us back. Okay, so let's go through the scripts really super quick, and we're going to deal with the first script, which is the create new script. And it's called add employees. So it basically says that if the verified admin, you guys know this, right? This is a security protocol. If it's empty, get us to go. Back, how the heck are you? It's good to see you back. Yeah, we're just doing some Filemaker stuff this morning, so it's gonna send you to the security breach vault. So if you're here, what am I streaming today? I am streaming today. Yes, I will be streaming later today on Luculent, by the way. And then it's going to say new record request, and it's going to set a variable, and that variable, what it's going to do is on this page, this is what it's going to do. On this page, it's going to create a new record request, and then it's going to auto-populate the ID number, right? Because it's a serial number. And then, so it's going to set that ID number as a variable. Then it's going to set the variable as, that's good news, well, thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Back. Then it's going to, and by the way, you need to watch because we got some really cool stuff today going on the Totally Tim show, just so you know. But we're going to set the variable as the admin variable, which is the verify admin link, the security portal. We're going to go to our new file, and we're going to create a new record. We're going to set the field, the employee number in that top thing. And we're going to do that for a reason. And then we're going to set the field verify admin, and we're going to go straight to the very first name, and we're going to halt the script. So if we get into this, if we exit the layout here and we create a brand new one, what's it going to do? I know, it is a surprise. It is a surprise. So if we create a new one, it will automatically take us here. And from here, we can add the name. Let's add Bayak. And we'll just call him Medjay, his last name. And so now we have Bayak Medjay. And if we put in, we can put in all the other information that we want to, his birthday, his social security number, whatever information you want to keep. Then you can grab that information and put it into the system. And then when you're done, you just go done, and it automatically creates a file on that page for you. So now when you go, you've got a highlighted number here. You can go to that number, and there's the information. So if you put down that his city was in, well, let's just do, oh, what city? Dude, you are not doing something bad to me, right? No, I am not doing something bad to you. I'm not doing something bad to you. So we'll just say Portland, and we'll say his state is Oregon. OR, and we say it's done. Now, if you go back here and you go back to his record, it's still there. So his record is set once every time you've done this or you go. Your city is Siwa. Okay, well that's great. Dang, I'm working and looking at media now. Okay, sweet. Well, actually, we are actually on Tim's channel, my personal channel, by the way. So how we did this, and our back button, and let's look at the back button really quick. So if we go into the script for the back button, it's basically, still we're going to do that real quick security thing. It's a couple of lines. It basically says, if it's empty, send to the security breach and call it done. But if not, then set these variables, set everything, go to the layout, and get the heck out of it. And so that's a pretty simple deal. But if we go to the other back, so if we go to here and we go to this done button, this is where it gets in the left. Yes, it does say looking at media. That's just because it just does. I can turn it off. Watch. Now it's off. See? So, doesn't say Tim's personal channel. Well, it is Tim's personal channel. If we go into this one and we do the edit layout and we look at our script for this, and it's done employee, this one is a little more complicated because not only is it going to have our security deal in it, it's going to say if is empty the employee ID, or if is empty employee records verify admin. So if you're not an admin, it's going to set this at blank, and it's going to send you to the security breach. So that's kind of the big deal. That's what's going to happen, is it's going to send you there. And then if you do, if you don't go there, so it's going to say if not is empty records ID, and that's this ID number. It's going to set the variable. So what it's doing at this point is it's saying, are we just looking at the record, or did we create a new record, kind of thing. So if you do have a record ID in the particular field, it's going to set your admin, verify admin, set your variable for that. And then it's going to set your records ID at blank, set your admin at blank. You're going to go to the links page of the, which is where we were just at before, which is a layout that has everyone's name on it, and then you can just go from there to there. And then we'll set the employee links verify admin, halt the script, end if. But if it's not that, if that's not the case, if there is actually an ID number in there, then we're going to start setting a bunch of variables, because now what we need to do is we need to take information from the record that we created and put it into the links file. Does that make sense? So that we can actually have that information. So if the record already exists, you don't have to carry a whole bunch of information back to the links page with you and then repopulate all of that stuff. What you can do with that is you can just go back, right? You can just clear out a couple of fields and go back without an issue. But if that isn't the case, if this is a new file that you just created, then at that point, this is where all of this information comes in. So we'll have to set the field verify admin, the ID number, which is the number that we will use to get back, the records link. We'll set variables first name, last name, ID, links, enter find mode. We'll go back into our old file, because you have to enter find mode, because you have to populate that field that you want. You can't just go into it and just populate any field, because who knows, you might end up on the first record, right? So we'll perform the find, then we'll populate all of our fields. We'll show all the records, because we don't want to limit it to just, because if we didn't show all records, what would happen was whenever I went to that page, there'd just be one name on there. And then we'll halt the script. So that is pretty much the done. So it's pretty much, that's two scripts in one. So if we exit, it knows this is where we are. It'll take us to this record. Now you can create the exact same thing with contacts, so that if you wanted to, you could put the company name, and you could list the company name. So, and then you could start listing people. So if you contact a company and it's called Acme Wheel Company, whatever the case might be, and you know that you need some cogs or you need some wheel parts or whatever, you can go into your list of contacts and you can say Acme and bring up a whole file or a section of files or a whole bunch of sections of files, whatever you want to do. But you can create something like this pretty easily. And now if we go back, it will take us to our admin page, which is kind of where we wanted to be. So the time and the time card will be the exact same thing. As you see, we have the time cards and we have the little numbers, and the little numbers will take you on a link. It'll open a new window. The difference is that with the employee link, you actually are going to a completely separate file and you're coming back. And you're coming back. Does that make sense? So before we were just opening a little window so we could kind of view what was going on, but now we're actually going into the file when we're dealing with employees, contacts, or anything of that nature. So that was kind of the big thing that we were looking at. Let's look at our autonomic script trigger and how that works pretty quick. Like, we'll go into edit layout and we'll go into our time cards login. Now, if you guys remember the time cards login script that we did, what we did make some minor changes to it, and those minor changes are here. Like we said, and this is the part that you need that will activate your script, your autonomic script trigger. So we say we're gonna go, let's see, where is it? If we create a brand new record, if user database is so we're gonna go create a brand new record. We're still gonna come here to the layout page, the entry page, and we're gonna set the field variable as a username. So we're just gonna set a username. So that's the information that we wanna create, right? So that username is gonna be there, and then we're gonna go to the field, and that's all you have to do. Go to the field variable trigger, because there's information in your variable. Your trigger will go off the second you go into that field. And then we do that again. If you come to down farther in the script, we added that as well. So if is empty time records temp start, blah blah blah, we're gonna go to the layout entry page, set the field user, and so we're just setting those triggers inside of our script so that we can, instead of having to write the script, and that's the big thing is that we're looking at, is that you don't have to write this script 10 times. And if you think about it, when we looked at it earlier, we could see that it's a whole lot of if statements, if this and if that and if this and if that, and then do all this other stuff, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what if I have to write that inside of a script like 10 times, right? Well, in this particular script, if you look at this script, it's a long script. We have it set here on lines 53 and 54. We have it set here on lines 68 and 69, where you're going to trip that trigger. You're going to make it happen. We also have it set on 76 and 77. And then if we go into our trigger pay, so if we go into manage our scripts and we go into our trigger pay script, it is in this script as well. So in this part we say, as you guys already know the script, so I'm not going to go through all the data or all the information that's in this particular script. But if you go down to line 15, it says go to entry page, set the field. So all of a sudden we're now taking data in this particular one. So the time card script is one of the most epic scripts there is, because it contains so many parts to it. As you guys can see, you have the primary script, and then it deals with performing this script, and then it deals also with performing a script trigger. So in this case, we do have it set here. So if you're clocking in, we did have to add the if statement, so that the script we could create a stop in the script, because it says if we need to create a new If we need to create a new record, then we can create that new record because someone forgot to log in. That's kind of the whole thing. If someone forgets to log in or log out for the night and they come in the next morning and they try using the login. So this actually does all of that. And in actuality, if there's one thing that I could think of that I needed to change it with this, is that if they don't log out at night, then their name is going to be there. So that's, you're going to, when you close down as a admin or a manager, you're going to look and you'll be like, oh, this person didn't log out, and you can log them out yourself, and then make changes to that record later. But this one basically says if they didn't log out, we'll just take the information, we'll manipulate it so that they're not doing it. I just don't understand a word. I know, back. It's very crazy that way. But in this sense, in the second sense of what we're actually talking about is we have to say if those two are equal to each other. So if the comparison date and the real date are equal to each other, which means that if you're logging in and logging out on the same day, instead of logging in at 10 o'clock at night and logging out at 4 o'clock the next day. Now, if you have that issue, then you'll have to make some major changes to that script. But what this script is basically doing is saying if you're within the same day, and then it's going to go ahead and set that trigger. You're going to go to the layout, the entry page, you're going to set the field variable, and you're going to go to the field variable trigger, which will trigger it. Just like a trigger, it'll take off. And then we of course have the halt scripts at the end of those, just to make sure that we're not continuing, the script isn't just going around and around and around and around and around. And someone is calling me and I don't have a clue why. But anyway, so what we will do is, you guys have now seen how that works. What else did I want to cover today? I just wanted to do a real quick video today. And that video had to do with the autonomic script triggers and the contacts. So what we did with the contacts, we're just going to use the employees as the example. And so if we go into manage our database, and in the database we'll have to look at our tables. What we did was I did these, by the way, so I reorganized them by the table name. So what we did was we did the employee links and the employee records. And so you want to have the same thing if you're doing contacts. So contact links and contact records. And so in the contact links, we have 7 fields and 4 records. We have the active, file number, first name, ID, last name, verify. So I got a dual set, absolutely back, it is a trigger. So there's a dual set of verifications in the employee links. And if you guys were following me through all of the rest of the other 15, you'll understand completely what this actually does. So employee links, and then the next one would be the employee records. And the employee records can be, or your contact records can be as long as you need them to be. If you need birth dates, like this one has social security numbers, state, phone links, what else did I do? Emergency contact information, ID, driver's license numbers, cell phone numbers, any information that you need, you have to have a field for. So in your contacts, you could easily have 100 fields. And if you want a notes field, you can add a notes field as well. And if you're going to do an employee's notes field, though, it needs to be an epic one. So you can just have because you don't want to create new records, you just want to build records, not create new ones. New ones are brand new. Joe Osborne, it's good to see you. So new records are like brand spanking new. They're brand new records, but you're modifying an existing record, so it would just be a continuation of that record, if that makes any sense. So under the employee records, as you can see, I have 26 fields, and that's probably not even anywhere near the number of fields that I need to have for it. And how you set those up is they're not related to each other. There is no relationship between the employee links and the employee records. Here they are. I thought I grabbed them both, but apparently I did not. So they're both completely separate of each other. And I could put them on different sides of the spectrum if I really wanted to, and that would be just fine. But what they do, what these records do for me, and I'm gonna pick a really cool color for them, like brown. But what you could do is, you don't want to link these two together, because if you do, then you can create and or destroy records in each one of those fields if they're related to each other. And as you guys can see, I keep my relationships for my solutions very, very, very limited, because I want to make sure that they cannot cross-contaminate each other. So in this sense, we have register and invoice. Those are necessary to have those relationships, but those relationships are not linked to any other relationships. We have the time cards and the time records. The reason why we do that is because we have to have a portal inside of the time records or inside of the time cards spot so that we can keep multiple records. Now, in our employee records, we can create a separate box and then put a portal in there so that we can keep separate records for those. So that if you wanted to, you could commit a record, in the sense that if you had a talk with this person today and you had given them a write-up, or the person was not there that day, or that you gave them an award, or whatever the case might be, if you want to keep a continuous running file on an individual, like I made a call to a contact, like I contacted this person on this day. If you want to do that kind of information, then you are going to have a portal. And you can put a portal in there simply by adding something to your links page. So, or simply by adding something to your records page. And how you do that is you would go into your tables, we would create a new one. So here we have employee records. So I'm just going to do emp record. Let's kind of spell this correct. Emp records, and then we'll do underscore links. And we will create it. Now, with this one, we want to have, let's just put something simple in there. We'll have notes, which is a text. We'll have an ID, which is a serial number. And this ID number will just be a serial number. Or you can have it on a better yet, let's just have it as a creation date. And we'll change it to date. Change. Okay, we don't care. And then you're gonna have to have an IDFK, because you want to be able to link those records, and that's kind of the big deal, and that's gonna be a number. Now, this number, if you want to, you can have it as a creation of the other one, or you can have this one create the numbers for the other one. And in this case, we want this one to actually create the numbers for us. So this one will actually be a serial number. And we could have just said, instead of having IDFK, we could have had anything else in there, but I'm just showing you the absolute basics as to how we want to present this. So our IDFK is going to create the number for us, but in our employee records, we need something to attach it to, right? So we're going to create what we call the key. So we'll call it ID key. And it's just going to be a number. It's not going to do anything, and we're just going to create it. And now, if we go into manage our database, I don't know why I got off of there, and we go into our relationships, you'll see our employee links over here. And you'll see our IDFK. And for this one, we need to find our key. There's our key. So we can take the IDFK and attach it to our key. ID key. Now if we bring these over here, and we have to double click on the equal sign. You guys know that, right? Double click on the equal sign, and we have to say allow creation of records in these fields, and we say OK. And you can also allow the deletion of those fields. But we'll now say OK, and we're going to go into our employee files, and we're going to go into our, let's just go into this one. And now if we edit the layout, we can bring in what's called a portal row. So a portal tool, we click on our portal tool, create a window. And this window can be pretty much any size or whatever shape that you want it to be, but it's going to want to know, what do you want it to do? Well, we want it to be from a related field, so it will be employee record links. And we'll want it to sort those portal row by the ID number. And we'll call that OK. Click OK. Now you can allow the deletion of the portal records if you want to. You can allow the vertical scrolling if you want to. You can filter those portal row, the data that you want to. You can do anything that you want to do with it, and it's all pretty much just setting it up right here in this particular little box. That's how I set mine up, is I always do the vertical scrolling so you can go through the records should you want to, and I use the active row state. You don't have to use that if you don't want to, but I do. And now we need to set our numbers in there. So the first one obviously will be the ID and the notes. And that's all I really want in this box, is the ID and the notes. And if you click on your fields, your ID can be very small and your notes can be as big as you want them to be. And so now, if you exit your layout, you'll have your little page here, and you can type in any note that you want to. So Dan was late today, or whatever the case might be, or you just create new records. I called John at 10:30 a.m. And you can just keep adding notes, keep adding notes, keep adding notes, keep adding notes as long as you want to. And it will allow you, the more that you add, the more it will allow you to just continue to scroll through your notes. And you can change the size and the shape and pretty much anything else that you really want to make this fit where you want it to fit. I myself, I don't know why it's not like perfect, but I like perfect. Perfect. So now you've added a portal row to your system, and now you can pretty much add anything that you want to in there and add the records as you see fit. And you will be able to, once you have enough of these records, you'll be able to scroll through them. And once you have them in there, they're gold. So there you go. That's how you do that. That's how you would communicate or keep track of your communications if you were in a contact, or if this was an employee record and you wanted to keep track of specific things that happen on specific days. Let's say Tommy was employee of the month today. And you can see I misspelled a couple of words, so Tommy was employee of the month today. When we click off of it, it will automatically create a record for us. We don't have to do anything other than just click on, click off, click on, click off. And it will automatically create the record for us. As you see, it was on creation, so the day that we created it, it will automatically keep track of it. Now, if we have one that's really super long, like this, let's say Tommy was employee of the month today, and then you can do comma. I was ill and did not attend the ceremony. And you can just keep typing. If you just press enter, you can just keep typing. This can be as long as you want to. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be really small. You can say, you know, there were several people absent. Whatever the case is. So you can keep a full record and then just go to the next one. So if you go to the next one, but when you click on this one, it will give you the whole record, as you can see. Tim forgot the chat again. I did not forget the chat. I normally don't read the chat because, especially when I'm doing especially when I'm doing Filemaker stuff, unless you're asking me questions specifically to that are specifically involved with what I'm doing, I will not answer the questions because people are going to watch this video to learn something. They want to find out how they can do this, how they can make this for their solution. And it's quite off-putting for them when I'm answering questions that are irrelevant to what I'm actually doing for them. So, so this is the information that we have, and this is how, as you can see, how to actually put it into place. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty painless. And if you want to know anything else about it, I certainly welcome the request. We can add to this so that it's a better fit. I wanted to, ooh, that's kind of bad. Let's see. The size of this one, maybe I should find out what the size of this one is. So the position gives me a, let's see, width 588, 536. I click on this one. 536. 536. Okay. So now it will basically give me the right size as to what I wanted, because I am a perfectionist when it comes to that. So now it is exactly the right size, including the header. So now if we come to exit our layout, there it is. Everything is set up just exactly the way that I would like it to be when I'm doing it. So really appreciate your time today. Appreciate the fact that you were here back. And I also appreciate, Vanas, how the heck are you? It's so good to see you. I also appreciate you guys for watching me on this video. Hopefully you've learned something. If you do have any questions or you do want to know anything else about the Filemaker series, or I left something out, we are wrapping this one up. I think we might have one more video left on finishing this one up, but we're pretty much completely finished with it. Like I said, we are quickly getting to the point where all of our buttons are filled in. Everything that we want is done. We did leave some security and we left the contacts open. I will create those, obviously. The security one is pretty simple. It's basically going to go, if someone happens to land on the button or land on the security breach, what it will do is it will basically set you up. It'll tell you someone was there on the security breach and this is the time they push the button. Pretty much that's all it is. But you can do a lot of other things when you are talking about, can you do a video with the layout in the cash register? We can do a video. We actually have done the video with the cash register. This is what they currently look like, is the cash register. And if you go to exit or you go to execute, it brings up these points, Vanas, so that you can see them. So you can, these are just adding in specific dollar amounts. And if you want to go back to the invoice, you just press invoice. But you can do cash sales, you can do credit sales, you can do split pays. And we covered all that in the other videos. We can also do hold and exit, dismiss, scan data, whatever you want. It pretty much does it all now, which is pretty totally cool. So if you did miss anything, Vanas, just let me know and we'll go back through there. But we did pretty much, I think, get all of that stuff in while we were doing it. Logout request. It does keep track of our invoice numbers as well, so we know where we are at any given moment and who's in and who's out. As you can see, if I log in, we know, ta-da, Tim is here at 10:20:03 in the afternoon, or in the morning. So anyway, hopefully we have done everything. Like I said, the only thing left that I can think of, and then this app will be completely finished. We'll be basically doing the security window, which, as I said, the only thing it's going to do is it's going to keep track of anytime someone ends up in the security vault, it will send you a message. Basically, it'll just be like, okay, there's someone in there. Yes, I'll tell my dad he should buy Filemaker. If your dad has a business, he definitely should buy Filemaker. It's way cheaper than doing anything else, to be honest with you, and it works beautifully. I really enjoy it. But in the sense of the security window that we were just talking about, the only thing it will do is just keep track of if people are there. Now you can add to that if you really want to. So if you want to do a much bigger thing, like you want to know every time somebody puts a wrong number in here, you can do that. And it's just adding a short little script. Basically says, go to the security and log it. And it's pretty simple. So your dad owns a barber shop. Well, that's good. If your dad wants to keep track of certain things, he can certainly do that, like sales, or he wants to make sales, or has different prices for different things. That would work out beautifully for him. And it's all digital, so that's good. And it keeps track of like every sale that he makes, when he makes it, who he made it to, keeps track of contacts, all that neat stuff. And it'll even remind him, if you set it on a timer, you set it on something, it'll even remind him to call someone or to tell them to come in and get their haircut. Take it off. 2 inches from the top. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys for being here. We are going to stop with that. And I'm obviously, Josh is going to be getting set up for his video here with Luculent Media. I'm going to get off of Timothy and get on to Luculent Media, and I will be there this afternoon. So we will see you guys in the next stream. Thanks for being here. As I always say, be good to each other. And if you do need anything at all, and I can help you with your small business, don't hesitate to leave me a comment below. I will answer them. I answer all of them, and I do see them. So thank you very much for everyone who has left me a message. You guys are much greatly appreciated. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.